L'Hopital's rule can be a really helpful tool in calculus to evaluate limits of certain functions. But sometimes it can be hard to figure out when you can use it, and then to take that a step further, how to actually use it and how to apply it to a limit. So in this video, I wanted to show you an example of how you could figure out, first of all, if L'Hopital's rule is even applicable, and then how you can use it to find the limit of a function. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the example. When you are, thinking about L'Hopital's rule or learning about L'Hopital's rule, obviously it's spelled a little weird. L'Hopital is how it's pronounced, so it looks like this. Looks like El Hospital's rule, but it's pronounced L'Hopital. But what this rule does for us, or tells us, is it gives us a tool that makes it easier to solve limits. So it's a little bit weird because what we're going to be doing with L'Hopital's rule is using derivatives to solve a limit. Which seems a little bit weird because derivatives are basically defined by limits. So it's weird to kind of think about it the other way. But there's essentially what L'Hopital's rule tells us. And there are a couple conditions that we need to make sure that our limit meets before we can apply L'Hopital's rule, which I'll get into in a second. But if we are able to use L'Hopital's rule, what it tells us is if we have a limit as x goes to some number, doesn't really matter what it is. It could be as x goes to 0, as x goes to infinity, as x goes to whatever. And if we have a fraction, so if the thing that we're trying to find the limit of is a fraction, where we have some numerator, some function of x on the numerator, some denominator, which is also some function of x, we can, instead of trying to evaluate this limit, we can instead evaluate some new limit, which is the derivative of the top of our fraction over the derivative of the bottom of our fraction. So please keep in mind, we're not doing the derivative of this whole fractional function. We're doing the derivative of the top over the derivative of the bottom. So we're going to treat the derivatives separately as two separate functions. We're not applying the quotient rule. That's something completely different. L'Hopital's rule is a very specific situation where when we have a fraction that is within a limit, we can instead just take the derivative of the top and the bottom separately and create a new limit out of that. And these two things should be equal. Now, like I said, there are conditions that need to be met before we can use L'Hopital's rule. But if those two conditions are met, then this is going to allow us to hopefully create a simpler limit. The goal is that this limit over here is easier to find than this limit, and we know that they're going to be equal. So instead of finding this harder limit, we can find the easier one. So the conditions that need to be met is there's going to be two of them. And whenever you're trying to apply L'Hopital's rule, or whenever you're thinking about applying L'Hopital's rule, you always need to make sure that both of these conditions are met before you do it. Otherwise, you're going to get, an incorrect result. The first of those conditions is that we need to make sure that we're getting an indeterminate form by solving this limit. So basically what that means is if you think of each of these limits separately, basically if you just take the limit as x goes to a of f of x, or if you take the limit as x goes to a of g of x, just kind of thinking of them separately, basically evaluating this limit gives us something in an indeterminate form, which means that we would get 0 over 0 or positive or negative infinity over positive or negative infinity. So as long as the top and the bottom of this fraction both go to 0, or if they both go to positive or negative infinity as x goes to a, that's the first condition. We know that we may be able to use L'Hopital's rule. The other condition that we need to make sure is that the derivative of the bottom of our function is not going to give us 0, or I'm sorry, not necessarily the derivative of the bottom of our function, but that the derivative of the bottom of our function is not 0 near a. So it is okay actually if g prime of x equals, or I should say g prime of a, because what we're thinking about is as x approaches a. So if g prime of a is 0, that's okay. But what we need to make sure is not true is instead that g prime of x near x equals a is not 0. So the reason for that is limits really don't care what's happening at this point. At x equals a has no impact on this limit. But as x is getting really close to a, as we get in the neighborhood of a, as we get, our x gets really, really close to a, if g prime of x equals 0 in that little area, that little neighborhood, then we may run into some issues, and we shouldn't be using L'Hopital's rule. So those are the two things that you want to look out for. And maybe another way you could see this written is g prime of x does not equal 0 near x equals a. So those are basically saying the same thing. So as long as these two conditions are met, we can use L'Hopital's rule to simplify our limit. So let's look at this example here. This example I want to show you as an example of applying L'Hopital's rule. And before applying L'Hopital's rule, let's think about whether or not we actually can. So if we look at this example here, the limit as t goes to 0 of e to the t minus 1 over t cubed. So let's make sure that these two conditions are both met. So first of all, let's think about, as t goes to 0, what is the top of this fraction going to go to, and what is the bottom of this fraction going to go to? So as t gets closer and closer to 0, we're going to get basically e to a smaller and smaller number, which anything to the 0 is just 1. Since e to the t is continuous everywhere, as our t gets closer and closer to 0, e to the t is going to get closer and closer to 1. So e to the t is going to go to 1. And then if we're subtracting 1 out of that, then this whole numerator is going to go to 0. So we know that this whole numerator right here is going to get closer and closer to 0 as t goes to 0. And then on the denominator here, as t goes to 0, t cubed is also going to go to 0, right? A smaller and smaller number, a closer number to 0, cubing it is just going to make it even closer to 0. So as we get closer and closer to 0, t cubed is also going to approach 0. So we do get an indeterminate form here. So we do have this, e to this numerator going to 0, and then this denominator going to 0. So we know that the first step is met. The other thing that we need to then figure out is the if the derivative of our denominator here is also going to 0. Or, I'm sorry, not if the derivative is going to 0, but if the derivative equals 0 near this a value here, near where t equals 0. So if we check that, basically we want to make sure that t cubed does not equal 0 near t equals 0. And in fact, t cubed is only going to equal 0 exactly when t equals 0. So actually, we do know that t cubed does not equal 0 near t equals 0, only specifically at that point. So since we know both of those conditions are met, we can use L'Hopital's rule to evaluate this limit. So to do that, basically we just know that this limit is going to be equal to the limit as t also goes to 0. So this is always going to remain the same. As t goes to 0 is going to be the same. Whatever your variable is approaching is going to remain the same. Then we can use the derivative of our top function over the derivative of our bottom function. Well, the derivative of this top function, e to the t, the derivative of e to the t is just e to the t. And then minus 1, the derivative of minus 1 is 0. So that's just going to go away. And then on the bottom here, we can use the power rule. So we can bring the 3 down in front, put the t, keep the t the same, and then lower the power by 1. So, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. This g prime 3t squared is actually the thing that we want to check if it equals 0 near t equals 0. I misspoke about that earlier. So it's still going to be the same though, because 3t squared is only going to equal 0 when t equals 0, but nowhere near it. So that will still be okay. So that is actually the thing that we would have wanted to have checked to make sure that we can do that. So since both those conditions are met, we do know that these two limits are equal. Now, the tough thing here is what to do next, because remember, our goal was to hopefully do this and get some sort of limit that is actually easier than what we started with. Well, the question now is, what is going to happen if we try to evaluate this limit? Is that actually going to be easier? And if we try to evaluate this limit, we're still going to run into a similar situation, but definitely one that's a little bit different. Because at first glance, it does look like we're going to run into the same issue, right? Because this, if we look at our bottom of our fraction here, as t goes to 0, 3t squared is going to get closer and closer to 0, because 3t squared is a continuous function. It's a polynomial. It's continuous everywhere. So what that means is, to evaluate, what happens to this 3t squared as t goes to 0, we could basically just plug 0 in for t. So again, it looks like what we're about to do is we're going to get some sort of fraction where we're dividing by 0, which, first glance, what you may think is maybe we could just apply L'Hopital's rule again. But think about what happens here on the numerator. As t goes to 0, e to the t actually goes to 1. So we have a little bit of a problem here, because we can't just apply L'Hopital's rule again, because this first condition is not met. We don't get an indeterminate form. We don't get 0 over 0. We get 1 over 0, which 1 over 0 is not a number. You can't divide by 0. So, we're not going to be able to just say that this limit is just 1 over 0. So we're going to have to think a little bit differently about how we could evaluate this limit at this point. And what frequently happens when your numerator is going to some value and when your denominator is going towards 0 is, what may end up happening in that case, or what frequently would happen, is that your left-sided and right-sided limit, you want to kind of consider those separately. And they may be approaching the same thing, and they may be approaching something different, and that'll basically kind of tell you what to do. But what we want to do is, since we know we can't use L'Hopital's rule anymore, I'm just going to get rid of this stuff down here. So what we are going to want to do is think about the limit as t goes to 0 from the left of this function, and the limit as t goes to 0 from the right of this function. If two one-sided limits are equal, if they both are the same and you can find both of them, they both exist and they're both equal, then we know that this two-sided limit would be equal to these each of these one-sided limits. If each of these one-sided limits is different, if they're not equal to each other, or if one of them does not exist, then this two-sided limit is not going to exist. And if this two-sided limit doesn't exist, then that's basically going to mean that the one we started with doesn't exist either. So to find each of these one-sided limits, what we can do is think about the fact that it really does help in this case that each of the numerator and the denominator of this limit, they're both continuous functions, right? E to the t by itself is continuous. 3t squared by itself is continuous. So as we think about what the numerator and the denominator of this fraction are going to, we're going to be able to kind of gather some information based on that. So let me elaborate on that. What I'm basically trying to get at here is, we want to think about, as t gets closer and closer to 0 from the left, so we know that t is a negative number and it's getting closer and closer to 0. As t gets closer and closer to 0, this e to the t is going to go to the number 1. So if you think about what the function e to the t looks like on a graph, it looks something like this. At t equals 0, so right on this axis here, this is 1. Well, as we approach from the left, you can see that we're going to be getting closer and closer to 1. We're going to have a number that is a tiny bit smaller than 1, but it's still clearly a positive number all the way along here, and it is very, very close to 1 as t gets very, very close to 0. Then on our denominator here, similarly, let's think about what a graph of 3t squared looks like. It's going to look something like this. We got a parabola with the vertex at the origin, and it goes up to the left and to the right from there. So as t approaches 0 from the left, so as we kind of imagine traveling down our function, imagine like traveling down our function here from the left, as we get closer and closer to t equals 0, which is right here, again at the axis, our y value of our function is getting also closer and closer to 0. So this denominator also is getting closer and closer to 0. So basically, if our numerator is getting closer and closer to a constant positive number, and our denominator is getting closer and closer to 0, what that means is the fraction as a whole, this entire fraction that we get from doing this e to the t divided by this number that's getting closer and closer to 0, is going to approach positive infinity. Because if our denominator gets closer and closer to 0, we're dividing by a smaller and smaller and smaller number, the fraction as a whole is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Since we know our numerator is positive, it's going to go to a bigger and bigger and bigger positive number, which is infinity. Same kind of thing is going to happen down here. So again, as t approaches 0 from the positive side, so as we come from the right now over here, imagine kind of walking down our function, and as we get closer and closer to t equals 0, we're going to get closer and closer to an output of 1. And then same exact thing over here. As our t gets closer and closer to 0 from the right, from positive t values, the output of our function gets closer and closer to 0. We're in the exact same situation down here. So again, this fraction as a whole is going to go to infinity. So basically what this tells us is both of these two-sided limits go to infinity. Or both of these one-sided limits go to infinity. So as a result, the two-sided limit is going to be equal to infinity also. And therefore, by L'Hopital's rule, this original limit we started with is also equal to infinity. Well, I hope you found that video helpful. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button down below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon as well. I've been doing a weekly live stream every Monday night, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you're notified when I'm going live, and I hope to see you there next week. If you want to learn more about L'Hopital's rule, I have made a couple other videos. Go ahead and click on one of those over there. Thanks, and see you on Monday night.